Ambassador Jaan Reinhold, welcome to Europe Now.
Great pleasure.
Ambassador, the bilateral relationship between Australia and Estonia has been very secure and productive and a very vital one. What should Australians know about that relationship and what's happening currently?
First of all, it's a great pleasure to be here in Australia serving as Estonian Ambassador, because I feel myself this is one of the most like-minded partners to Europeans, to Estonians, and to the family of Northern European countries. So we're very like-minded. This is the first thing. And what we see through all those crises in Europe and worldwide, globally, we see that we are sharing with the same values, same opinions, which is very good. So Estonia is definitely known as advanced country on innovations, on digitalization, cybersecurity, and so on. But I don't want that the knowledge among Australians about Estonia will be limited only with that. I would like to introduce my country here as a good destination for tourism, as a very safe place to make business with the European Union because of all those innovative solutions what we created already. I would like to see Estonia as one of the gateways for Australian audience and our friends and partners to Europe.
Many Australians sometimes struggle with understanding the internal complexities of European politics, and I suppose that Estonia is no different in that connection. We sometimes marvel at particularly the complexity of the political alliances and negotiations that are forged between Liberals and Social Democrats and Conservatives when governments are being elected. From your standpoint as an ambassador, could you speak to that and talk about, in terms of the bilateral relationship between Estonia and Australia, particularly around areas whether it's trade and defence or science and education, once a government comes together in Estonia, in terms of then looking at the practicalities of then what's starting to actually unfold between our two countries?
Now, Estonia's population is quite small. We have 1.3 million population only, and being with that one of the smallest countries in the EU and in the Europe. But we are proud enough to have our own culture, our own language, 1 million people who are speaking in Estonian, part of them also in Australian as part of the diaspora. So, but definitely our government is looking for more partnerships. Every government is looking for more partnerships. And it has been so, and it will be so for years coming as well. To be very honest with you, we are one of the most integrated country in Europe, and that part of Europe. I remember that we were among the first countries who, from our part of the Europe, joined with the EU, NATO, OECD, also the Eurozone. It seems that there is a partnership in our DNA. And currently we are looking also beyond traditional borders of EU and traditional partnerships. And that is why Australia, New Zealand, all the Pacific region is very important for us. And definitely, this is not about political views or like-mindedness in general, but this is about the trade, definitely, about the innovations, about introducing my country to this part of the world. So this is something like in our DNA.
So Estonia joined the European Union in 2004, and since that time, I suppose, jumping to today in 2025, it's been a year of huge global political shifts. There are some commentators and critics that have suggested that globally, at a political level, we might be facing a kind of tipping point now, where we see the emergence of all of these new forms of nationalism, of unilateralism. And of course, this is of huge consequence for the European Union in terms of its global cosmopolitan outlook. its commitment to the advancement of a rules-based political order. There's a lot of worry in Europe. Again, critics are concerned about, we're talking about this recently with one of your counterparts, the ambassador to the Czech Republic, concerns about the emergence of what's been called the illiberal political wing of Europe. How do you think about some of these debates and concerns and anxieties that are now unfolding? And do you think, is that characterization that I've just presented, is that perhaps a bit too crude? Do we need to think about these things in more nuanced terms?
When we regained our independence in 1991, then we set our foreign policy goals, definitely. And EU and NATO membership were about top priorities in this journey. And when we gained a membership in the EU and NATO 2004, there's like a relax. What's next? What we have to do, what we have to gain. But yes, you rightly mentioned that there are, many internal discussions also about the EU. Definitely 2004, you cannot compare it with 2025, about the challenges, what we are standing now. But I think that EU is unique, has been unique for 50 years already, and still unique because, this is not about trade community. This is about like-minded understanding about everything. But definitely 27 democracies now as the members of EU, there are many different opinions.
Yeah.
Currently the security challenges and defense challenges, what we are facing in Europe, for example, we have to take into account all the voices for all 27. Definitely, I think there is an equal voice for every country among the 27, and I'm very happy to say that our voice has been also strong all the time. Mm-hmm. I think with these security challenges we are currently facing regarding the invasion by Russia to Ukraine, Estonia has been very vocal. I think that our understanding what is happening and about the situation, evaluation of situation has been also very valuable to Europe. So, as you mentioned, all democracies are there are challenges, but we have to struggle them. And what we have faced currently during the last months or last years under the pressure of the war situation in some part of Europe, we can tell definitely that EU is still very, very relevant, this global player, definitely. What we have seen is from the new commission, for example, we established a new position of defense commissioner as well. Currently, we are working with defense issues more seriously than earlier. White Book Readiness 2030 or rearmament program in EU, it shows that we are still the global player. We are recording this interview one day after NATO's summit in Hague, for example. And what I have seen and learned from last night's decisions in Hague, for example, I think the EU and NATO has a great role still in Europe and also worldwide, also in partnership with Australia.
Recently, Australian Prime Minister Mr Albanese has indicated the possibility of a defence and security partnership with the European Union, as well as the renewal of efforts to develop the free trade agreement. Your thoughts on that and the possibilities for how that's going to be able to escalate relationships, in particular between Australia and Estonia?
As I mentioned several times already, we are very like-minded, Europe, Estonia and Australia. I think about free trade agreement. We have to resume the talks. I think that there are very positive signals from both sides. This is for benefit for our economies, foreign trade, definitely, and about people-to-people contacts, for sure. About defense pact, what was mentioned also, quite recently, and this is on the table. And what we have seen recently as well, when EU has been signing already the defense pact with IP partners as well in NATO. I think this is very good. This will definitely benefit for cooperation in terms of defense, especially in terms of defense industry as well, which is very important, and very important especially for smaller countries, member states of EU and NATO, like Estonia. Currently, we are on the phase when these negotiations are going to develop very soon. But if I charging the situation, putting to the table, for example, this MOU of critical and strategic minerals, what was signed and concluded last year, May 2024, I can tell you that development have been very successful and productive. It is also the showcase that we can both benefit and work very successfully under the FTA and also defense pact. It means that, I think all the circumstances are there to find a very good and productive and mutually beneficial cooperation in this regard.
Climate change has been top of the political agenda for some time. The European Union is committed to carbon neutrality by the year 2050. What is Estonia's position on this and its commitment to these goals and the actions that it's undertaking?
Definitely, we are on accordance with EU legislation and long-term plans in this regard. Where currently our effort or benefit is to reduce the gas emissions 70% by 2030, and also to become carbon neutral till 2050. My current government is currently revising our climate act. This is not adopted yet. There has been discussions for, a couple of years already, active discussions in this regard. But when I'm talking about climate change and contribution of Estonia to that, I can always refer to the time 25 years or even 30 years back when we adopted our digitalization program, actually.
Right.
We are saving also the forest with that.
Yes.
For a long time, Estonia's contribution to our national defense has been 2% or more. But from this digital revolution or Tiger Leap program, what was adopted in Estonia in 1995, we also saved 2% of GDP every year.
Right.
So it means this is our small but very efficient contribution.
Yeah. Moving to Australia, Ambassador, could you tell me something about the embassy here in Canberra, the work that you're doing and the work that your team is doing in supporting local communities across Australia?
Yeah, definitely. Estonian diaspora in Australia is very meaningful. For me, I have been in foreign service for 25 years, but I never worked before as actively with diaspora as now here in Australia. My team is rather small. We have 3 people only in the embassy and covering also with some other countries in the region and smaller islands. But I have to tell you that we have Team Estonian Australia, which consists not only the embassy but also of our honorary consuls. Right. 7 of them, it means that almost in every territory and state here, also in Auckland, in New Zealand. So this is like Team Estonia. We are working with them. We are promoting Estonia in terms of culture, in terms of more and more about the business diplomacy, because definitely we would like to achieve the new markets also for our businesses and vice versa. My colleague who is covering Estonia, Australian Ambassador, is working as well very hard with that. So this is like the next page, or this is the current actually struggle or hard work what we are doing. But mentioning about diaspora, definitely. The first Estonians arrived to Australia in, it was the second half of 19th century. Right. And definitely the big wave of Estonians arrived after the Second World War. And we call also there are part of late arrivals. These are the people who established themselves here in Australia after Estonia's regaining of independence. They mainly came with working holiday visa, which the program was adopted 25 years ago. And still some people are here. There are many mixed families. It definitely, people-to-people contacts. It brought Australia much closer to Estonia and vice versa. So currently my diaspora is something like 14,000 to 15,000 people. Maybe not as active here in Canberra, but very active in Perth, in Melbourne, in Sydney definitely, in Adelaide. Yep. So they are very active with we having 3 Estonian houses on the ground as well in Adelaide, Sydney and Melbourne. So I think the biggest amount of Estonians are currently in Western Australia because they have found very, very nice place for living there. Mm-hmm. This is maybe a little bit closer to Europe as well, right, about the flight distance. But yeah, they established very, very good. We have Sunday schools for smaller kids. Mm-hmm. We have culture centers, so on. So I feel that Estonian diaspora is living very good here in Australia, and I am trying to help them as much as possible.
Finally, can I ask you to perhaps look through your ambassadorial crystal ball out to the future? Certainly in terms of the time of your own continuing ambassadorship here in this country, what would you like to see? What do you think might be feasible but also desirable in terms of the deepening of the relationship, of the bilateral relationship between Estonia and Australia?
To be very honest with you, I don't believe to crystal balls. It right. means that we are hardworking people. We have to do everything just to make the dreams to reality. But I found here a very good welcome mm-hmm. from my colleagues, not only in diplomatic circle, but also in DFAT, in other civil services, also about Australian society in general. I think that what we can predict, what is the current state of play in 10 years' time is that there is still many like-minded ideas we can elaborate together. Mm-hmm. Distance-wise, 15,000 kilometers is long enough, but I think by heart and by understanding we're very similar to each other. I think we can rely to each other in terms of political cooperation in foreign policy. I would like to see definitely, and I'm quite sure that there will be more trade between our countries. Currently, our Estonian Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry is working hard with that. We would like to include more and more companies with this society as well. I think that Estonian diaspora will be in 10 years' time even more stronger than now. It means that more people-to-people contacts. Mm-hmm. So I hope that European Union will gain very good position in 10 years' time, or will facilitate a very good level of understanding and partnership in this country. And Estonia, as part of that, will be a reliable partner to our Australian friends.
Ambassador Reinhold, thanks very much for joining us on Europe Now.
Thank you.